your undergrad career was at the University of London, and then you graduated Cambridge with a PhD in chemistry, but then somehow you translated that to a 30 plus career in technology. So maybe we can go as deep back to this as you want, like maybe how you decided on the University of London, got into Cambridge, why chemistry, and then how the pivot from science to technology happened.
Yeah, there was a few things that happened. I think from quite a small age, I wanted to do science. And actually at school, I didn't flourish at all. And but when I got to university, in the second year, I suddenly took off like a rocket and did really well. But where I was at, which was actually City University at the time, it couldn't really give me what I needed. So I went, and I'd moved into kind of theoretical chemistry, which is like applied quantum mechanics. And so I moved to Cambridge really to work because they had a kind of world-leading department in theoretical chemistry. So that was why I moved to Cambridge. I mean, I did a postdoc in Bristol, which is where I met my wife. And I got into this thing of getting narrower and narrower, becoming, and a lot of researchers, I admire them because their ability to focus on a kind of niche area for decades. But I think I realized I'm just too much of butterfly's the wrong word, but I come too interested in broader things. And it was a time when the universities were being hit really hard with the government funding was difficult. The other big thing that happened was I went to a lecture by Mike Pence, who was head of physics at the Open University. And he had started this thing called Scientists Against Nuclear Arms. And he was one hell of a speaker. And I was so enthralled by this that I signed up on the spot. And within months, I was on the National Steering Committee and I was going around the country giving talks. And I ended up being so this is my spare time thing, being the research coordinator for Scientists Against Nuclear Arms that still exists actually in a new guise. It's called Scientists for Global Responsibility. The reason I'm telling you that is that slightly knocked my confidence in, do I really have what it takes to be a scientist for the rest of my life? And I was thinking about marriage and kids and stuff. I don't know. And there's part of me that thinks, oh, you should have just stayed with the love of when you were a 12-year-old, you wanted to be a scientist. But in a sense, I said, no, I'm going out to the big bad world. And I used my computing experience, of which I picked up a huge amount from my research work. You can't solve Schrödinger's equation with two molecules coming together without doing a lot of computing. I got a job doing computer-aided design, and initially for manufacture of things like cars and stuff, and then that led into chip design. So I was writing chip design software for Philips, who were big into ASICs and semiconductors. And again, I felt, oh God, I'm getting into a niche. I'm doing a niche thing again. I want to broaden out. And so the job that really, again, was a revelation was moving into general business computing, which meant I was then walking into departments like legal firms, pharmaceuticals. And I think because I come from a large family, I love integrating, mixing with people. I'm not the sort of person that likes to be behind a cubicle coding because I love that kind of human interaction and the intellectual challenge. A law firm coming in saying, we want to build a know-how system. Ooh, I love that. It combines my human side with ability to deal with complex issues and problems. And I was like, that was a revelation. And I found I was really good at it. And the rest, the 30 years of consulting in enterprise management followed from that job. So I hope that explains it. But it tells a little bit about me. And I think bringing together skills which are not always articulated well in CVs and things. You can't say, oh, I come from a large family, therefore I know how to mix with different personalities and stuff. That doesn't necessarily look good on a CV, but I think it was a big part of me, and a big part of how I managed to be successful.
If you enjoyed that clip, the full episode is available here. Go on, press it.